Hi, this is Stephen Wilson, and you're watching Chaos TV. Enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to Chaos TV on my behalf also. My name is Juho Keskitalo, and today we are at the circus in downtown Helsinki, and with me is Mr. Stephen Wilson. Hey, and welcome to Finland again. Welcome to Chaos TV again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
So, To the Bone tour has already been going on for a while. How has the tour been so far?
It's been a lot of fun. The show is quite a step up for me in terms of how elaborate the kind of visual side of it is. So it took a while to get it right, but we're about 15, 16 shows in now, and I think it's quite a spectacular experience. So I'm really pleased with it. Yeah.
So looking forward tonight.
Absolutely, yeah.
You still have quite a few gigs left all around the world in this tour. Is there any gig that you're particularly waiting for?
I have a very special hometown gig, which I've been doing for the last couple of album cycles. I've been playing a place that I'm sure many people have heard of in London called the Royal Albert Hall, which is a very historic, beautiful theatre. It's been there for a long, long time, and every time I go there, I do one more night. So the first time I did it, I played one night. Last time I did 2 nights, and this time we're doing 3 nights. So it's a hometown show. It's a beautiful venue, and it's fantastic to be able to say that I can now play 3 nights at the Royal Albert Hall. It's something that even my mum is impressed by. Yeah.
All right, so hello to your mom also. In your Facebook page, it says that your genre in music is, instead of, for example, rock or progressive anything, it's constantly evolving. Would you say that being adaptable and evolving is, in a way, a lifeline for arts and artists in general?
I think it depends on the artist. For me personally, a sense of evolution is essential for me in order to keep going. You know, I've been doing this for 25 years or more now, and I'm not the kind of person who can... It sounds very arrogant to say it in a way, but I don't mean it to sound arrogant. But what I'm going to say is this: I'm not the kind of person who can ever consider what the fans want when I create something. I have to do it for myself. It's very selfish, but I think that kind of sense of needing to evolve as an artist, needing to find new things that excite me, having the curiosity to try different musical styles is what's kept me going all this time. I don't think I would have been able to be as prolific as I have if I didn't have an interest in changing, evolving, and in a way confronting the expectations and sometimes disappointing the expectations of the audience. You know, that's also part of the contract in a way, that if you're going to change, then you have to expect that you will lose some fans every time. But I guess I've also managed to, as I've lost some older fans, I've also managed to attract new fans every time. So the constant sense of renewing the audience, renewing the sound, evolution, changing, it's what keeps me excited about being a musician.
Yeah, I guess it goes with it. Like, sometimes you win some fans and sometimes you lose some, and that's just the way it goes. Yeah. To me, you come across as a person that has really, deep thoughts, and every time I watch your interviews, you have these really clear and comprehensive answers. So I wanted to ask you, do you read a lot of books? And if you do, what do you read?
I did when I was a kid. I can't say I read a lot now. You know, like everyone, I'm distracted constantly by the modern world, you know, whether it's the internet or my phone or my Fitbit or whatever it is, you know. So I don't read as much as I would like to these days. I still listen to a lot of music. I'm still discovering new music all the time. I'm still, you know, very engaged with what's going on in the world, you know, the world of politics or the world of whatever it is, you know. And I see a lot of movies. Books, I was a very passionate reader when I was a teenager, and I guess, you know, I like to be articulate and I like to be clear, and I'm fascinated by language, you know. One of the things I think that's constant in my songwriting is I try to make the lyrics I wouldn't say I would want people to read the lyrics off the page, because I don't think they're supposed to be, it's not supposed to be poetry, you know. But at the same time, I like the idea that lyrics are things that people can really engage with and think about. And in a way, I feel like I'm holding up a mirror to the people who listen to my music and saying, this is the world as I see it. Do you recognize yourself? Is there something here you can empathize with? Is there something here that can inspire you or make you think about the world in a different way? But at the same time, I don't want to be preachy. I don't like when artists like Bono or Bruce Springsteen tell you who you should be voting for and what you should be thinking. But at the same time, I love this idea that you can make people think about the world, maybe question things. And so I work very hard on you know, the ideas behind the songs. I love every song to be almost like a little miniature short story. And I guess a lot of that does come from my interest in literature and reading a lot when I was a kid.
Would you say that it's important for an artist to be interested in all sorts of arts? As you said, you've read books and you like to watch movies a lot, just to get the main area of arts of the artist to be like full of different things?
It's important to me. I wouldn't say it's important for every artist. It depends what kind of music you want to make or what kind of art you want to create. If you just want to be in a good time rock and roll band, you know, a heavy metal band, death metal band, then really you don't need to be particularly curious about what else is going on out there. You've chosen your genre. And by the way, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all. You've chosen your genre, you stay within those parameters, great. But for me personally, I like to be very curious about the world. I am very curious about the world. And I think, as with all art, the art is a reflection of the person that makes it. So as a very curious person, I think my audience that is attracted to my music are also those kind of people that are curious about, you know, the world that they live in and question the world that they live in. You know, the internet generation, all of that stuff. This is what a lot of people like myself write about now, I think, how the internet generation has changed the species almost beyond recognition. Within the space of, you know, a quarter of a century, the human race has changed so much, almost more than I think we even realize at the moment. You know, so things like modern, religious fundamentalism and terrorism, fake news and the way that it's affected the political world. All of these things really are a consequence, I believe, of the digital age and the internet. And even the way it's affected my industry, the music industry. It's not a particularly good trend, if you ask me, but I've had to learn to adapt to that, as indeed all musicians have had to learn to adapt to the internet age.
Yeah, actually, one of my questions here would have been if you could change anything from the music field or the music industry, what would you change?
To me, there are two things here two things immediately spring to mind when you ask me that question. The first one is that I kind of mourn, in a way, the death of the long-form musical experience, by which I mean there was a time when people used to buy an album and engage with an album as a kind of continuous suite of songs. So, for example, you go and see a movie or you read a book, you don't just watch one scene in the middle of the movie, you don't just read one chapter in the middle of the book, but that is what people are doing now with albums. They're just listening to single songs. So they'll program a single song into their Spotify playlist or whatever, and they never bother to listen to the rest of that artist's album. Now, that's fine for some artists that aren't particularly bothered about that, but for someone like myself who loves the idea of the album as a storytelling kind of device, it's hard to get people to sit down and listen to an album from beginning to end, without checking their phone or their email or wandering off and doing something else. So I think that's the first thing I kind of regret about the way the music industry has evolved. It's evolved away from the art of storytelling across, a whole album. And the other thing that I don't particularly like is, and again, I don't know why this has happened, but it seems to have happened, is that rock music has become almost completely invisible in the mainstream. I don't know what it's like here in Finland, but certainly in most of Europe, rock music has completely disappeared from what you might call mainstream culture. I love rock music, so to me that's not good. I mean, I like some urban music and electronic music too, but the dominance, it seems to me, of mainstream pop, urban music, electronic music, hip-hop orientated music, the dominance of that in mainstream culture, almost to the complete exclusion of rock music, to me is not a good thing. And that's a shame, because I think rock music has still got a lot to offer. But it just doesn't get a chance. It just doesn't get a chance. It's never been more invisible. It's never been more invisible in the mainstream. Sorry, go on.
Oh yeah. Do you think there ever might be a chance in the future for rock music?
I really hope so. I mean, rock music does have a history of just when you think it's dead, it kind of reinvents itself. You know, I mean, you think back to the early 90s. And the whole Seattle, you know, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, that really reinvented rock music. For a good 10 years or so, rock music was right back in the mainstream. I mean, I think when music is really back in mainstream culture, when it starts affecting other things like fashion, like cinema, and you think of the whole grunge movement, how much of an impact that had, not just on the music scene, but on everything from the way models were dressing to the way people were making movies. The whole slacker movie generation came from that too. And that's when I look back, I think that's probably the last time that rock music really had an impactful kind of moment. But that's 25 years ago now. So I don't give up hope, but I'm kind of getting a bit impatient waiting, for rock music. And sometimes it just takes one band. It might be just the right band, the right song, to suddenly blow everything wide open again and open the doors. In the way that Nirvana did, I suppose. If you pick one band from that generation, it was kind of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and that one band almost changed things overnight. So I keep my fingers crossed. I'm too old to be that guy now, but hopefully there's somebody out there.
Yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed also. So if you're watching this, just do anything you can. All right, I have this habit of always asking 2 questions or a question at the end of the interview that I get from a fan. Okay. So I asked some of your fans, if you could ask anything, what would you ask from Steven Wilson? I'm going to need a quick answer for the first one, just so we have time for the second one, okay? So first one comes from Lassi from Järvenpää. He wanted to ask you, what kind of music do you listen to, and what kind of music would you recommend for other people to check out?
That's a really hard question to. I know you want a quick answer. That's a really hard question to answer, because the simple answer is I listen to good music. Now that sounds like I'm avoiding the question, but the point is that there is incredible music in every genre. I listen to everything from industrial noise music to pure pop. And when I say pure pop, I mean the classic pop, not the modern pop, which I'm not into, but and everything in between. And I think it's a mistake to try and listen. For me, it's a mistake to try and listen within genre. There is good and there is bad in every genre. And I think if you're curious and you're open, you will find good music in every style.
All right, so shout out to Lassi. And the second one comes from Juho from Oulu, and he wanted to know, do you still hate iPods, and have you had the chance to bash any of them recently?
Isn't it funny that the iPod, which 10 years ago was so dominant, almost seems like an antique now? Does anyone have an iPod anymore?
Well, actually, I do, and I have a hammer if you want to.
Okay, but do you still use your iPod?
No, I got it from a friend just for this purpose. Do you want to hold the microphone? No. Do you feel like...
Well, the thing is... Do you want me to destroy your iPod? Is that what you're asking me? The thing is that I think that the iPod was kind of symptomatic of a certain period in music when it was moving away from physical media to being something that was just ones and zeros on a hard disk. Of course, I didn't really like that, because I'm old-fashioned and I love physical. I love beautiful records with gatefold sleeves and lyric sheets and the whole kind of tactile experience of putting a record on the turntable. So, of course, that it would be foolish to say that that anything I could do could possibly change that. But it was, again, like coming back to what we were talking about earlier, it was a way to make people at least talk about the subject and engage with this idea, you know, that maybe this is not the best way to engage with music through this little, you know. Anyway, do you want me to destroy your iPod? Is that what you want?
Yes.
You want me to do it on camera, don't you? I can see.
Yeah, let's go to the...
All right, then.
Hold this for a while.
Okay.
Thanks. See you later.
Destroy an iPod in my rock and roll slippers. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, there you go.
There.
That is one ex-iPod.
That's a statement right there. I can clean up. Do you have any last words you want to say to the fans that are watching this?
Keep listening to rock music, kids. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.